obviously we're self-employed.
Yes.
So what does that look like for someone that's self-employed? Is it harder for us to get loans? What does that look like for us?
It depends. I mean, some borrowers that are self-employed, I mean, they may write off a lot. So then we're going back in, and that's where we will ask for those borrowers. Probably it's a little more difficult in terms of getting someone a qualification, like we were talking earlier, where it's W-2. But if you told me you were self-employed, then I for sure would want to see your tax returns, because I've had clients in the past that say, I make $180,000 a year, and then when you get their tax returns across, they make $33,000.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Backyard Gossip. We are in Gilbert, Arizona, and we have a special guest today. I'm super excited. But as you know, my name is Maisha Fair.
I'm Jeremy Rangel.
I'm Elias Black.
And this is our guest.
Jerry Stoltz with Seville Mortgage.
Oh, and we're so excited to have him on board today. Have you guys ever wondered what it takes to buy a home and how to get a mortgage? Well, today we're going to give you details of what that looks like, the process, what you need, just details.
And if this is your first time joining our show, we are Backyard Gossip, also known as BYG. It's a show about, we talk about anything and everything related to real estate. Why? Because it's our show and we want to.
And we can.
That's
we
right.
Just can.
So let's catch the tea on BYG. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, Jerry. Well, thanks so much. The
bet.
cool thing for us is we all have used you. We love you. So
Thank you.
we appreciate
In lending.
In London.
We've used them in lending.
And there we go.
And the show is over now. No, obviously we've used you to help our clients get properties.
Yes.
You're working with my son right now, which is kind of cool.
Yes.
So kind of tell us, if a person is trying to buy a home and this is the first time ever, what is that process? Like, what does their credit score have to be?
Well, ideally, you would love to have a 740 credit score. That's obviously going to get you the best type of pricing.
Everyone would love to have it.
Everybody would love to have a 740, but to be very frank, we have a lot of different products. I mean, you have some clients that go down to a 560 credit score.
Wow. Okay.
I think that the biggest thing for anyone that's buying is it's obviously it's an overwhelming experience.
Yes.
It's the biggest purchase item that they're ever going to take on. I think from there, we're just trying to talk to them, find out what their goals are, what are they really trying to accomplish. And many times clients that say their credit scores are 740, but they're looking at, Credit Karma or one of those things, and then we go in and we pull their credits and we find out that the credit scores are different.
Gotcha.
And maybe they have a 660 credit score or 680 credit score. But in the end, I think if their credit scores are too low, it's not the end of the world, because then that's when we go in and we say, okay, well, what do we need to do to get things fixed? We can go in and do credit simulators. We can find out, hey, maybe they have a $5,000 credit card that is maxed out, and maybe if we paid the balance down, immediately they could gain 30, 40, 50 points, and next thing you know, they're able to qualify. So,
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of options.
What kind of documentation is needed when a buyer's getting pre-qualified for a loan?
Yep.
A home loan.
Buyers, get your pen and pads ready.
Right?
Pen and pad
Yes.
ready.
This is good. This is
I
good
mean,
stuff.
really, simple stuff, standard stuff. I mean, if you have a W-2 borrower, let's say they're a school teacher, you're looking for W-2s for the last 2 years. You would look for the most recent 30-day pay stubs. We would look to find out what kind of assets that they have. So typically we're looking for 60 days worth of bank statements. Some cases they'll have 401ks, so we'll look at, again, the 60 days worth of 401k statements, or maybe they'll have a quarterly statement. But in the end, it's not overwhelming for what they need. I think sometimes buyers think that there's just so much that they have to gather, and then once they talk to someone like you guys or someone like me, they realize that, whoa, it's not that much that they need to gather.
Once you have all that information, how long does it usually take for a buyer to be qualified? Once you have all that documentation. So let's say I called you, I'm a first-time home buyer. You ask for this information. I'm like, okay, I give it to you. Let's say I give it to you in a couple days,
Right?
Because I'm busy and I I have things going on.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So how long, once you have all that documentation, how long does it take for me to be qualified?
It's twofold. Unfortunately, I kind of move fast because I've been doing this for 29 years. So I kind of bypass a lot of the things. So I would ask you, I would be like, hey, Jeremy, first off, the biggest thing is pulling your credit. Because again, if you tell me your credit scores are 720 and your credit scores are really 649, that could change things, right?
Gotcha.
But as long as I have your credit and you tell me that you're a school teacher, then the odds are I know that you have a W-2 job. I know what your income is. I can already see what your credit looks like. I frankly could get you a pre-qualification within an hour at the most.
Really?
In terms of the assets and things, I mean, we try to move quickly because if I'm relying on the borrower to get me documents, as you said, people get busy, and then do I want to wait 3, 4, 5 days to get this information from someone? You obviously want them to get qualified as fast as possible because the market is still hot,
right,
and you want to get them out to look at houses as fast as possible. But yes, within a couple of hours at the most, they should be able to get a pre-qual. Yeah.
That's important.
So you basically move as quickly as the buyer moves. So as quickly as you get your stuff in, he's ready to go, usually within an hour or two.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I'm like you guys. I mean, I tend to, along with my staff, I mean, we work around the clock. So, I mean, as we talked earlier today, I mean, I started working at 5 this morning. I'm working on pre-qualifications. I'm talking to buyers. I'm putting programs together. I'm talking to our underwriters and investors. And so it's beneficial for us to close loans as fast as possible because that's how we make a living as well.
Right. So we've encountered, like, in just experience in the industry, we've experienced a lot of times there's some lenders out there that work 8:30 to 4:30, and they're off on the weekends.
Yes.
Yes.
So a lot of times we can't get a hold of them.
Right.
Is that different for in your situation or in your case?
I think myself, my business partner, my assistant, I mean, really everybody in our office. I mean, we work around the clock. As you guys know, I've got my cell phone, and I try to answer all calls. If I can't, I'll send you a text message and let you know that I'm on the phone with somebody, and I'll reach back out to you, or if I'm in an appointment, or maybe if I'm too busy, I would advise you that, hey, you know, Claudia, who's my right hand, she's going to reach out to you. In the end, we want to do things fast, and we know that time's of the essence. You know,
right.
You have somebody that's looking to put an offer in, they can't sit around and wait 3 or 4 days because maybe that house they wanted now they're not able to get because somebody else swooped in and took it, right?
Yep.
So yes, I think I take calls. I mean, I've heard Elias, and I've watched it even with your guys' videos. I mean, it could be 12 o'clock, you know, and I think even my wife gets on me all the time because I don't shut it down. But even if we're on vacations or things like that, but it's, hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
I mean, these are big investments for people. Like,
yes.
And a lot of them are first-time home buyers, and they're like, you know, well,
yeah.
I can't get a hold of my lender.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing too is and it's not casting stones at the big boys that are out there. I mean, they have big operations, and they kind of have an assembly line of people that work on things. And I think when someone's working with us, they're only working with a few people, and we're there for them all the time. And no matter if it's good information or bad information, we're not here to shy away from things. I mean, sometimes, as you guys know, things come up. You know, a borrower could tell you something and you think everything's fine, and then later they send you documentation and something pops up that you didn't know that was there. And there's no reason for me to, you know, shy away from taking phone calls, because it's better to get out in front of it, let everybody know we have a potential issue. Let's go ahead and figure out, well, how do we rack our brains together and figure out a way to make this thing happen?
Now, I have a good question for you. Sorry, Elias.
Yes.
No, after you, please.
So, obviously, we're self-employed.
Yes.
So, what does that look like for someone that's self-employed? Is it harder for us to get loans? What does that look like for us?
It depends. I mean, some borrowers that are self-employed, I mean, they may write off a lot. So then we're going back in, and that's where we will ask for those borrowers. Probably it's a little more difficult in terms of getting someone a qualification, like we were talking earlier, where it's W-2. But if you told me you were self-employed, then I for sure would want to see your tax returns, because I've had clients in the past that say, I make $180,000 a year, and then when you get their tax returns across, they make $33,000.
Yep.
You know, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because
okay, so you hit on something that's really good, and this actually used to be me in a previous life. So back in the day, I had a career, but I also had a hobby as bartending.
Yes.
And at the time, there was a period of time that I bought a home during that time, but I So I had a career. I was a salaried employee, and then I also bartended, and that was tips, you know, tips and wages kind of a thing. And so what I didn't know was that I should have all of those tips. I would take them home, and I'd put them away somewhere, stash them, or put them somewhere at that time. And what I didn't know is I should have been depositing those tips. Whether I got them nightly or weekly, I should have been depositing them to help with my debt to income as additional income that could be sourced or used or seasoned.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that and what that would mean to a potential buyer?
Oh, that's a good question.
Who works on tips and wages?
Well, for those, and when it goes back to self-employment, if somebody is getting tips, that technically is self-employed income. And in a perfect world, you want them to report that still on their tax return, showing that they do claim that money, right? Okay. Now, if you're looking at just your traditional loans, the loans that we're all accustomed to doing, your USDA loans, your FHA loans, conventional loans, they're going to look at certain things one way. They want to see them on the tax returns. We do have, as you guys know, back in 2005, 2000, we had a lot of programs that were out there, and then they kind of went to the wayside. And then over the last couple of years, at least the last 15 to 18 months, with interest rates rising, things have started to become more creative again. And we do have outside products that are what we call, not really subprime products, but they are products that will allow somebody to use bank statements. So like in that scenario, let's say that somebody did have tips, or you had tips back then, but you didn't claim it on your taxes.
Sure.
Well, we couldn't use it, but maybe we move it into this other product, which allows you to use bank statements as qualifying. And we can see, well, hey, Elias is over the last 12 months has deposited $12,000 in tips, and so we could, in that situation, use that income.
Is that almost like stated income?
It's not so much stated, but it's really a bank statement because you have proof that it's there. If you were doing a traditional, what they would call stated income, is you're just really stating what your income is. There's really no proof of it.
Got it. No checks, no balances and checks.
Yes, and there are some of those products that are coming back around. But again, those were, back in the day, stated programs were very prevalent back in the day, and they became a really big issue. And the problem was, is you had borrowers that were true W-2 employees. For example, again, let's just say school teacher. They were school teacher, and then they were doing stated income. And you were like, well, if you're a school teacher, why do you need to go stated income?
Right.
You have a W-2, you have pay stubs, but why are we not stating your income? And so people were getting around. They were kind of circumventing the rules at that time, or they were kind of really just basically doing what the investors were offering them, but those programs for the most part don't exist any longer.
So are the rates for, obviously not stated income, but for some of those creative programs that are out there, are the interest rates higher on those?
They will be higher, yes,
they
because the risk is higher with them. Okay. So in turn, but for example, let's just say that, like in Elias' situation from a few years ago, let's say that maybe he had to go into that product. Then maybe he knows now that he needs to claim that. So he goes in, maybe he amends his taxes, maybe in the future he starts claiming that on his tax returns, and then maybe he then gets into a position where he could refinance out of that original loan that he did and get into a more traditional loan, which is a Fannie product or a Freddie product, and get himself a better situation.
Self-employed folks, you've got options.
Yes,
true.
Talk to a qualified lender, talk to your real estate agent. If you don't have one, give us a call. We can help.
For sure. Yes. So when you have that initial phone call with a client, whether it's bank statement loan, or do you really, or a first-time home buyer, do you guide them and help them understand, like, hey, this FHA loan is better for you, or this conventional loan is better for you, and do you weigh those options out with the client so they understand what they're getting into, versus some loan officers have guided the client into something that maybe isn't their best option?
I think there are, unfortunately, guys that guide. I think there's individuals that maybe they only have a certain product that they even have to offer, and so that's what they offer.
Gotcha.
We have, we're different. We're what's called a correspondent lender, so we get to work as a bank. As Seville, we fund our own loans in our name. We have our own warehouse lines, and so we get to do a lot of things. It's almost like we're a broker on steroids, really. So we have options. So we may have company A that we work with that offers a certain type of product, and we know that maybe certain things would run there. We have other investors that maybe do things a little more aggressively, so we know we're going to do there. When I'm working with clients, in the end, I'm a consumer myself. As we talked earlier, we're at my mom's house, by the way. So so we
Shout out to
were
Mom.
talking earlier. My mom was
Thank you, Mom.
she was a school teacher for 39 years, and really I would just want, when I'm talking to clients, I want to talk to them just like somebody else would be talking to my mom. She didn't know anything about mortgages, right? And so I'm just trying to. I mean, I spend a lot of time with clients on the phone. I mean, I really do. I mean, I may have a conversation with them for an hour and a half. In the very initial conversation, it's just like, hey, what are your goals? You know, what are you really trying to accomplish here? And let's make sure that we're putting you in the right situation. Because again, this isn't Walmart. You know, you can't buy your house and take it back 30 days later, right? You know, I mean, so
That is very true.
I mean, you're really just trying to find out what their goals are. And then, as you said, you know, I'm really big, and I think you guys know, I send emails and probably I get a little too wordy on my emails, but I try to really break things. I try to really break things down, you know. So I'm trying to hey, here's option one. Here's an FHA type product.
Yes.
Here is this product, and here's the reasons why maybe we should go these different routes.
Right.
And in the end, it's not my house. I'm not the one making the payment, right? So it's just like my job is to present you with the knowledge that I have. What do I think is going to be good for you? And in turn, you're going to have to talk to your spouse or your whoever it is that, or maybe you're not talking, maybe your parents, whoever it is, to find out if this is the right thing for you or not. You know. Yeah.
So, agents, if you have a lender partner that you work with, and maybe you're concerned that the lender always, may feel like the lender pushes your clients into a specific direction all the time. I just learned something new out of this conversation, so thank you, Jerry. But the answer is, it may not be that the lender is steering your client towards that product, you know, just because the lender thinks it's the best option. Sometimes it may just be that lender, that may be the only tool in that lender's toolbox to use.
Correct.
So that's good to know. I was unaware of that. That's good. So I learned something new. Thank you. And that's good to know, because I've been in that situation, and I've had a few times where I felt like the lender partner was driving the client a certain way and the client didn't want to go, but come to find out now, that may not be the case. It may just be that was the only option that particular lender had. So explore, folks.
Yeah, but I think
that's
it's
true.
really cool, though, the way Jerry explained it, too, is that, I mean, if you think like a Wells Fargo, a Chase, or whatever, when those lenders are doing those applications, they have maybe only one or two types of loans.
Right.
The cool thing about someone like Jerry, I think that I really appreciate from my clients, is that he said there's options.
Right.
So, you know, if they have bad credit or really great credit, then there's options for them. They're not pinholed to, okay, this is it, and it's just this particular loan.
Right.
So they could get denied with the Wells Fargo or Chase or something like that, and then come to you and get approved, right?
We've had many cases where we've actually had clients that have come to us where they've been denied with other people.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden we've flipped it and we've turned it. And it's either one, the loan officer they were working with didn't know how to structure things properly. Or, I mean, or like we were talking, maybe that was the only product that they had to offer. The thing with us as well is because we're not, and again, I'm not trying to say, you know, Chase or Wells Fargo, but the big boys of the industry,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
If I worked for Chase and I took a file into underwriting and that file was underwritten and it was denied, it's done, right?
Yeah.
They can't re-look at it.
Right.
But we have the ability where maybe we submit it to a particular investor that we sell to, and that particular investor for some reason had an issue with it. We could then repackage that file and move it over to company B. And ironically, we had a file like that. Remember, there was a file that we had in about maybe a year ago, and it was a borrower that was purchasing a property, and they had an issue with something with him. We were getting down to the last minute, and we took a full package, we flipped it to another investor, and we turned it within 2 or 3 days, and we still made our close of escrow.
Yeah.
Yep. Without it mentioning any names, we have one right now where I think the buyer was previously pre-qualified with another lender here, and once you had a chance to take a look at it, your team were able to get the buyer here, which is where they wanted to be.
When you
So-
say here and here, what are you talking about?
So I'm just going to make up a random number just for a simple number for easy conversation. So the buyer was pre-qualified, came to me pre-qualified from a different lender that they had communicated with, and I'm just making up easy numbers for math. That buyer was pre-qualified at 100,000, and then after Jerry and team had a chance to take a look at it and see what they could do and what options they had, meaning, you know, investigate further with other investors that are in their tool bag, the buyer then came back at being pre-qualified at 150.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a significant difference, and that's what it wasn't that we were trying to get the buyer higher just because it was that was the buyer's comfort level. That's where they wanted to be.
Right.
Okay.
And the other lender couldn't do that, but Jerry and team could
Right.
because they had more resources,
Right.
more tools. to choose from.
Yes.
Right. So clients, consumers,
Yes.
first-time home buyers, agents, you guys do not buy your clothes at the same place. You shouldn't. You should shop your lenders as well. If
Oh,
you,
yeah.
If you buy all your
Shop.
clothes,
Yes, yes,
shop your
shop.
lenders.
Yes, yes.
Jerry Stoltz at Seville Mortgage is a great option. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, and Jerry's licensed in other states as well, right?
Yeah,
I know
that's
you're licensed
true.
in Arizona,
Yeah.
What states?
California.
We are licensed in Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, Montana, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, Florida.
Oh,
That's
Georgia.
10 states. 11
Wow.
states.
Yeah.
So again, for those people
Yeah.
who are looking for agents in those states too, we can hook you up with an agent, and we have a lender that can help you there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to
absolutely.
dive into a part 2 with Jerry Stoltz next.
But first, let's
Oh,
talk
before
some
we
numbers.
do, we're going to change it up here. We're going to change
Yeah.
up our format just a little bit. We're going to do something on Backyard Gossip called Hot Numbers in a Minute.
Yes.
So,
you guys know
ready?
he's our numbers guy. So as always, Elias gives us details and numbers. So
I'm gonna
Jerry,
count
he's
you
going to
down.
give us some
Ready?
numbers.
You have 1 minute.
I have 1 minute.
Oh, well,
Okay,
let's do
let him
it.
time me. No, this won't take long. It's just we're in Gilbert, so we're in this in your mom's lovely backyard in
Yes.
Gilbert, Arizona.
Yes.
There will be some pictures thrown up somewhere in this video at some point, just kind of showing this lovely backyard. But since we're in Gilbert, let's talk about Gilbert for a minute. Hot numbers in a minute.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Real quick.
You're ruining up my 60 seconds.
Okay, well, I'll
ahead.
take 60 of the 60.
We have a timeout.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Let's go.
Okay,
Time
time
out.
out. Yeah. Where did you get the name?
I made it up.
Oh, I don't think that we discussed that as a team.
Oh.
Well, it's
He
today,
said
so we
he
can
was the
change it.
president.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
no,
All right.
no.
All right. No, just kidding. No, I
We're a
really
group.
like that. That's super cute.
Hot
That is
numbers,
good.
you know,
It's
you know,
cute.
these little gears be turning
All right, well, I
sometimes.
kind of like that.
Hot numbers in a minute. Here we go.
Here we go.
Since we're in Gilbert, Arizona.
Sorry, guys. Okay.
As of this morning today, and by the way, folks, I'm not sure when you're going to see this, but today is June 15th, 2023, and as of 9:50 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, in Maricopa
You see how
County,
he
which
has
is
to
the
be real
largest county.
specific?
Yes.
Sorry, Elias.
No, you're good. In Maricopa County, as of this morning, there were 8,810 available homes for sale in Maricopa County. Now, what does that look like to you if you were looking to buy a home in Gilbert? Let's kind of drill down just a little bit. If you were looking just to live in Gilbert, Arizona only, that would mean that you only had 332 homes to choose from.
Now, is that a lot?
Well, this is going to make sense for you in just a
Okay.
minute. Now, that's all homes available in Gilbert, okay? 332. But if you were specific and you said, hey, I want to live in Gilbert and my home must be at least 2,900 square feet, you then have 105 homes to choose from. Okay, cool. Now we're getting somewhere. But let's just say, hey, I wanted a 2,900 square foot home in Gilbert with a pool. What does that look like? Now you have 44 homes to choose from. But if you wanted to go a little bit further and say, hey, I want to be really specific, this is a home, buying a home, which it is a huge investment. I really want to get what I want to get. And I want a 2,900 square foot home in Gilbert with a pool that is a single story. Now you have 18 homes
Oh,
to
wow.
choose
That
from.
number dropped.
So when you drill
significantly.
down, it may sound like, hey, there's a lot of homes for sale in Gilbert. There's 332, but when you get down to the specifics, the square footage, the single story or two story with a pool, without a pool, a 3-car, 2-car garage, all of those things, or an RV gate, and some of those things that we all may have as personal preferences, the numbers change quite a bit. So traditionally in this market, the summertime is the busiest time for real estate. It's June now, it's about to be summer. So if you're looking to buy a home, let's get started now so that we can help you find your perfect dream home in Arizona, and get it done.
And I'm pretty sure those numbers change quite a bit too based on price, right?
Those numbers do change, and they change by the minute. So realistically, if we were to log back in, that 8,810 number has changed up or down one way or another, and these were live as of 9:50 this morning.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff.
And that is Hot Numbers in a Minute on Backyard Gossip.
Hot numbers in a minute. I'm liking that.
You're welcome.
Hot
You're welcome.
numbers.
Teamwork. See, we did
Well,
it.
it wasn't teamwork because hell, you picked it yourself. But I still like it. It's
Right.
still. Jerry's like, who are these people?
No,
Like-
well, I was gonna. I mean, as far as that number,
Sure.
that's higher than we were. But how does that stand? Let's say from a few months ago, is it?
Yeah,
is it
so
kind
great
of in
question.
line, or-
So let's just to put things into perspective, we should have what we should have to be truly a more balanced market and enough inventory to sustain 3 months or so, we should be closer to 30,000 homes, 35,000 homes, available homes in Maricopa County. We have 8,800. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But just to kind of give you guys an idea of what things used to look like during that crazy post-COVID time, late 2020, early 2021, in this market, it was not uncommon. There were a few times I think we logged in and there were less than 1,000 homes.
Yeah.
Wow. 1,000, less than 1,000
Yeah.
for a metro area of 6.2, I don't know what the exact number, don't quote me, for a metro area of 6.2 million people. So,
And that's why values shot through the roof.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
So-
I think we'll see more of that too now, obvious with numbers like that too.
Yeah,
Yes,
but if you're in a market to shop for a home right now, you
better
need
get
to jump
on it.
on it. So
Yes.
stop waiting around. Stop waiting for interest rates to drop. Stop living in 2020 because it doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
And get out there. Call one of us because we're experienced agents in the Arizona market. And
Well, hell, and he's experienced in a lot of other markets.
yes.
Oh, that's true.
And
Yes.
if you're a buyer, or seller looking to buy or sell in another state outside of Arizona, we can, if you don't have a realtor, we can connect you to agents nationwide. So just let us know, comment, message us, DM, let us know, and we will connect you with a well-qualified agent in another state. We're happy to help.
Yes.
like, comment, subscribe to our channel,
Yes.
and look out for part 2 with Jerry Stoltz.
Part
All right.
2, can't wait.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Please, again, subscribe, follow, like,
Yes.
all of that fun stuff. And if we don't hear from you, we don't know what you want to see or hear, let us know, comment, and we'll get your idea on. Catch the tea on the next BYG, and we'll see you on part 2.
We'll see you on part
Bye,
2.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.